Hey, I'm Elizabeth, and I want to tell you about the day everything started to change in my family. I've got a younger sister, Lucy, who's always been more the quiet type, and then there's me, I'm not so quiet. Mom, Jane, used to be like any other mom, you know, regular and all, and Dad, Thomas, well, he's always been the sturdy type, like a rock or something. Our lives were plain, nothing fancy, just ordinary and happy, until that one day. It all started when Mom's friend, Carla, talked her into going to this self-help seminar. "It'll change your life, Jane," I overheard her saying over the phone. They were always chatting about new diets or some sale, but this seemed different. I didn't think much of it at first. Mom was into her books and talks, and Dad, and I figured it was just another hobby she'd picked up. But when she came back from that seminar, it was like she had switched into someone else. She was buzzing, couldn't stop talking about unlocking potential and tapping into unseen wealth. "Thomas, you've got to come with me next time. The speakers, the ideas, they're revolutionary," she gushed at dinner that night. Dad just chuckled, shoving a forkful of mashed potato into his mouth. "Sounds like a load of hot air to me. How much did you say you paid for this?" Mom's face fell a bit. "It's not about the money, Tom. It's about the experience, the growth." "Sure, Janie, as long as it makes you happy. But don't go wasting our savings on every little scheme they sell you," Dad warned, a stern edge to his voice. Things started changing quickly after that. Mom quit her job at the post office, where she'd been for nearly 15 years. "I'm not wasting another minute on that dead-end job. I'm going to invest in opportunities that'll triple our income, you'll see," she declared one evening out of the blue. Her ideas of opportunities included stuff like buying heaps of lottery tickets, sinking money into some online trading platforms, and even attending more and more of those cash-draining seminars. Dad didn't take any of that well. "Jane, you've got to stop. This isn't like you. We have girls to think about, college to save for," he'd argue night after night. "Oh, stop being such an old worrywart, Tom. You've got to spend money to make money. It's called investing." Mom shot back, her patience thinning. They thought we didn't hear them, but Lucy and I heard a lot. Their fights about money, about Mom's new friends who Dad called con artists and swindlers. It got so bad I sometimes wished I could just shut them out, maybe with noise-canceling headphones or something. One day, I came home to find Mom in the living room, papers and brochures strewn all over the coffee table. She looked up, her face flushed with excitement. "Beth, come here, look at this. It's a new investment fund, says it can double our input in 6 months." I frowned, glancing over the glossy pamphlet. "Mom, this looks risky." "Are you sure about it?" "Darling, risk is just the first step to success. You think all those rich folks got where they are by playing it safe?" She laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. After Mom went all in with her so-called investment fund, it was like watching a slow train wreck. Every day, she'd be glued to her computer, eyes flickering over stock charts and exclusive webinar invites, talking to her new friends who were just as deep into this mess as she was. "Beth, you gotta listen to this guy. He turned his whole life around, made a fortune out of thin air." Mom would exclaim, trying to get me to watch one of her videos. I'd just nod, keeping my doubts to myself because arguing with her had become pointless. Dad, on the other hand, wasn't having any of it. One night, I caught them in the kitchen, voices raised higher than usual. Dad was holding a credit card bill, the kind that made your stomach drop. "Jane, what the hell is this? $2,000 on what? More of your damn seminars?" Dad's voice was like a sledgehammer, and Mom flinched, but shot back just as hard. "You're so small-minded. You have to spend money to make money, Tom. That's how the world works." Mom retorted, her voice sharp as a knife. I remember Lucy coming into the room then, her eyes wide and scared. She hated their fights more than anything. "Can you guys not do this now?" she pleaded, her voice barely above a whisper. "Stay out of this, Lucy. This is adult business," Mom snapped without turning around, which only made Lucy shrink back, looking helplessly at me. I wrapped an arm around her, wishing I could just whisk us away from all the yelling. The worst part was, it wasn't just the fights. It was seeing how each argument left them, Dad, deflated, sitting at the table with his head in his hands, and Mom, storming off to call one of her business partners to vent. It all came crashing down the day the electricity got cut. I came home to find the lights out, and Mom at the table, surrounded by bills and notices. "Electric's out," she muttered as I walked in, her voice tired and frustrated. "We're a bit tight this month, couldn't make the payment." "A bit tight? Mom, this is serious. We need electricity. What about all the money from your investments?" My voice rose, the worry making my words sharper than I intended. Mom's face crumpled, her usual fiery comeback gone. "It's just, not available right now." "That means it's gone, Mom. What are we supposed to do now? How are we supposed to live like this?" I threw my bag on the floor, frustration taking over. Lucy started crying, and I hated it. I hated that she had to deal with this, that we all did. "I'm sorry, girls. I'm trying, I really am," Mom said, her voice breaking, and for a moment, I saw the old her, the mom who used to make sure everything was okay. But sorry wasn't enough to fix this. Sorry wouldn't turn the lights back on. We were all stuck in Mom's sinking ship, and it felt like we were only going deeper down. The real blow came a week before my high school graduation. It was supposed to be a time for celebration, but instead, it turned into the biggest fight we'd ever seen at home. I was in my room trying on my graduation gown when I heard shouting from downstairs. It was loud, even for them. "Jane, how could you do this to us, to your own daughter?" Dad's voice boomed through the house. I rushed down, my heart pounding, to find Mom and Dad in the kitchen, papers scattered all over the counter. Mom looked cornered, her face all flushed, while Dad was holding a bank statement, his hands shaking. "What's going on?" I demanded, glancing between them. "Your mother. She took the money, Elizabeth. The money we saved for your college," Dad said, barely getting the words out. The room spun around me. My college fund, gone? Just like that? I felt like I was going to throw up. "This is unbelievable, Jane. You've crossed a line. How are we supposed to trust you after this?" Dad was yelling now, his face red. "I was going to fix it, Tom. You have to believe me. I didn't mean for it to go this way." Mom was almost pleading now. "Fix it? How, Jane? How exactly were you going to fix this mess?" Dad shouted back. Lucy appeared at the kitchen doorway, her eyes wide with fear. "Stop yelling. Just stop it," she screamed, and suddenly it was like all the air got sucked out of the room. Mom and Dad stopped and looked at her, but Lucy turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Beth, what's going to happen now?" she sobbed. I hugged her tight, not knowing what to say to make any of this better. "I don't know, Luce, I really don't," I murmured, feeling her shake in my arms. The argument died down after that, but the damage was done. Dad moved out of the house that same night. He packed his bags, saying he needed time to think away from Mom and all the chaos she'd caused. Mom tried to act like everything was normal the next morning, making breakfast and chattering about plans to recover the money. But it was all just noise to me. My head was filled with a million worries about the future. That evening, I found Mom looking through more papers, probably searching for another quick fix. "Mom, why? Why did you do it? Didn't you think about me, about what I'd lose?" I asked, needing to understand. "Elizabeth, I really believed it would work. I wanted to give you more than we ever had, not take away. I thought I was doing the right thing," she said, her voice low. "But you weren't thinking about me, not really. You were thinking about the money," I said, the truth stinging both of us. Mom didn't have an answer. She just sat there, looking lost and defeated. And for the first time I saw her not as my mom, but as someone who had let her dreams get bigger than her family. It was the kind of realization that changed everything, how I saw her, how I saw our life up to that point. After Dad left, things spiraled faster than I thought possible. He remarried quickly and moved to another city, trying to start fresh, I guess. At first, he called to check on Lucy and me, but those calls stopped coming. Mom had blocked his number and told a story about how Dad had turned his back on us, how he was living it up with his new wife and didn't care to send a dime our way. "He's forgotten about us," just like that, she'd say with a bitterness that colored her every word. I wanted to believe differently, but with Mom controlling all the communication, what else could I think? It was just Lucy, Mom, and me now. College was out of the picture. With no money and no prospects, I took a job at a local diner. It wasn't what I had planned, but dreams had to take a back seat to reality. I was now the one bringing home whatever money I could to keep us afloat. Every paycheck I handed over to Mom, hoping she'd sort out the mess of debts she'd gotten us into. But it seemed like for every step I took to pull us out of the hole, she found a way to dig us deeper. She wasn't working, just constantly hatching new schemes to strike it rich. "It's just around the corner, Elizabeth, I can feel it," she'd say every time I questioned her plans. One evening, after a long shift at the diner, I saw her getting kicked out of the local casino. She was a mess, screaming about being just one win away from getting it all back. I hurried over, my heart sinking. "Mom, what are you doing here? I thought you were at home with Lucy," I said, grabbing her arm to steady her. "Let go, Elizabeth. I had it under control. Today was just a bad day, that's all. Tomorrow, I'll win it back, double," she snapped, yanking her arm free. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Mom, you're gambling now? With what money?" "I have my ways. And I found a surefire technique online, it'll change everything," she said, her eyes wild with a desperate kind of hope. "A technique? Mom, that's nonsense. You're throwing away everything on a fantasy. Gambling's a trap. It's designed to make the casino rich, not us." I tried to reason with her, but she wouldn't hear it. She just shook her head. "You'll see. I'll fix everything. I just need one good run." The next day, she was gone again, back to the casino, as if our conversation had never happened. I felt so helpless, watching her disappear into her delusions, while I scrambled to cover our bills and keep Lucy from seeing how bad things had really gotten. Lucy was turning 15 soon, and I knew exactly what I wanted to get her, a set of clothes that would make her feel like she belonged with her friends, who always dressed in the latest styles. She'd been making do with hand-me-downs and clearance rack finds for too long. So, I started setting aside a bit of cash from each paycheck, stashing it away in a small box on my shelf. It was supposed to be a surprise, a good one, something that'd light up her face. I was at the diner when it happened. I came home late, my feet aching from the long shift, dreaming of the look on Lucy's face when she'd see her gift. But the house was chaos. Mom was in a frenzy, the box that held the birthday money in her hands, her face twisted in anger. "You're stealing from your own family, Elizabeth? Hiding money for yourself? Is this what you do with the money you earn? You're a nasty rat, that's what you are," she screamed as soon as I stepped through the door. "What? No, Mom, that's for Lucy's birthday. I saved it to buy her some clothes." I tried to explain, reaching for the box, but Mom jerked it away. Mom's face was red, her eyes wild. "I trusted you, and you betray me like this. You're no daughter of mine. Get out." She shoved the box of money into her purse and pointed to the door. Lucy rushed downstairs, drawn by the yelling. "Mom, Beth's telling the truth. She saved that for me." She tried to mediate, her voice shaky. Mom turned on her. "And you? You could have been helping out, earning some money. But no, you just sit around studying, protecting your thief sister." "I'm trying to finish school, Mom. We agreed on that." Lucy cried out, her own patience breaking. "That's enough. I want both of you out. You're both ungrateful. I don't need you here." Mom shouted, her fury boiling over. I grabbed Lucy's hand, my mind racing. "Come on, let's go," I said, pulling her toward the door. We stepped out into the cold night, the door slamming shut behind us, our mother's angry shout still echoing as it closed. Lucy clung to me, sobbing uncontrollably. "Beth, what are we going to do now? Where will we go?" she whimpered, her voice muffled against my jacket. I held her close, trying to muster a calm I didn't feel. I don't know, Luce, but we'll figure something out. We have to, I said, my voice trembling. We stood there, outside the house that no longer felt like home, shivering not just from the cold but from the shock. How had things gone so wrong? How had our mother, the woman who used to hug us and make everything okay, turned into someone we hardly recognized? Lucy and I huddled together on a park bench, clutching our phones like lifelines. The night was chilly, making each breath visible in the pale light of the street lamps. We could call Dad, Lucy suggested quietly, her voice small. Yeah, I agreed, though a lump formed in my throat. It had been so long since we'd spoken. What if he really had moved on? What if he didn't want us? But we were out of options, and honestly, I was out of pride. I scrolled through my contacts, finding the number Mom had made me block years ago. My fingers hesitated, then dialed. The phone rang, and my heart pounded with each tone. Hello? Dad's voice came through, sounding cautious. Dad, it's Elizabeth, and Lucy, I managed to say, my voice cracking. Elizabeth? Lucy? Oh my God, girls, are you okay? Where are you? His voice changed instantly, thick with concern. We need help, Dad. Can we come see you? I asked, the words nearly a whisper. Of course, girls. Tell me where you are, I'll send money for train tickets right now, he said without hesitation. Tears welled up in my eyes. Thank you, Dad, I choked out. True to his word, the money came through within the hour. By the next morning, Lucy and I were on a train heading to Dad's city, our hearts heavy with the past, but hopeful for the future. Arriving at Dad's place felt surreal. He was waiting at the station, looking older but also relieved as he pulled us both into a tight hug. His wife, Sandra, stood beside him, giving us a warm, welcoming smile that eased some of my tension. Let's get you girls home and warmed up, Dad said, guiding us to his car. Once we were settled in and sipping hot tea in their cozy kitchen, Lucy and I shared everything. How Mom had spiraled, the lies, the eviction. Dad listened, his face growing tighter with each word we said. I had no idea, Dad finally spoke, his voice heavy. I've been sending money for alimony and your studies every month. I thought you girls were okay. We never saw any of that money, Dad. Mom told us you stopped helping. I admitted, feeling a mix of anger and relief as the truth came out. Dad's hands clenched into fists. I'm so sorry, girls. I should have found a way to make sure. I never should have let her cut me off from you. It's not your fault, Dad, Lucy said, her voice gentle. Dad looked at us, his eyes filled with a kind of pain that made my chest tighten. I want to make this right. Elizabeth, if you still want to go to college, I'll support you. And Lucy, there's a great school not far from here. You can start fresh. Sandra, who had been quietly supportive, spoke up. I'll contact my lawyer tomorrow. We'll sort out where the alimony went and deal with your mother's legal rights. Lucy should be with us, legally and safely. I looked at Sandra, seeing her not just as Dad's wife, but as someone who was stepping up to help fix our broken pieces. I got up and hugged her, grateful beyond words. A month had flown by in a blur of new beginnings and healing wounds, with Dad and Sandra's support making every day easier. But then, out of nowhere, Mom called. Her voice was sharp, demanding, as if nothing had changed. Elizabeth, you need to come back home now. I've stopped receiving the alimony, and everything's falling apart here, she stated flatly as soon as I answered. I took a deep breath, steadying my voice. Mom, I'm not coming back. Lucy and I are staying with Dad. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. You ungrateful traitors. After everything I've done for you. Done for us? Mom, you lied to us. You used the money Dad sent for yourself. You even kicked us out. We know everything. I shot back, the old pain and anger bubbling up. There was a screech of rage from her, loud enough that I had to pull the phone away from my ear. "Don't you dare speak to me like that. I'm still your mother. Being a mother isn't just about giving birth. It's about being there, and you weren't. I don't want you to call again," I said, and without waiting for a response, I ended the call, my heart racing. Dad looked over from across the kitchen table, his expression one of concern mixed with pride. "You okay, Beth?" "Yeah, Dad, I think I will be. It's just hard, you know?" I sighed, feeling the weight of years lift slightly with each spoken truth. "You did what you needed to do. She has to understand her actions have consequences," he said, reaching over to squeeze my hand. In the following years, life found a new rhythm. Dad officially gained custody of Lucy, who thrived in her new school. I started college, working part-time at a local cafe to keep busy and support myself, a habit hardwired into me. College life was a mix of challenging and exhilarating. I poured myself into my studies, determined to make the most of the opportunity Dad had given me. Graduation day was a blur of joy and tears, with Dad and Sandra cheering the loudest. I had done it, graduated with honors and a job offer in hand. I moved into a small but cozy apartment, enjoying the independence I had fought so hard to gain. Lucy was now in college too, following her passion for graphic design. We were both grateful, so incredibly grateful, for the new life Dad and Sandra had helped us build. 2 years flew by since I'd graduated from college. Life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. I had a good job that challenged me, and Lucy had just tossed her own graduation cap into the air. Then, one afternoon as I was sorting through emails at work, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. Curiosity overcame caution, and I answered. "Elizabeth, it's me," came the all-too-familiar voice, frayed with desperation. "Mom?" My heart sank, a mix of old wounds and weary concern bubbling up. "I need your help. I've lost the house, and I owe the bank more than I can ever pay back. I'm on the streets, Elizabeth. You have to help me," she pleaded, her voice cracking. The news hit hard, but years of distance had given me perspective. "Mom, I can't send you money. But I can help you get treatment for your gambling. There's a place not far from here that..." Her response was a string of obscenities, each word sharper than the last. "You ungrateful trash. You think you're better than me now, huh? Too high and mighty to help your own mother? Mom, please try to understand. I'm offering real help. Gambling has destroyed enough, don't let it destroy you completely," I pleaded, hoping for a sliver of reason. "Save it. I don't need your charity or your lectures," she spat out, and then added, "You'll regret this, Elizabeth." I took a deep breath, steadying my shaking hands. "I hope someday you'll see this was for the best. Take care, Mom." Without waiting for another barrage of vitriol, I ended the call and blocked the number. My heart pounded painfully against my ribs, not out of fear, but out of finality. Back home, I slumped on the couch, feeling drained. Lucy came over, holding 2 mugs of tea, having heard the tail end of the conversation. "She called you again?" Lucy asked, handing me a mug. Her brow furrowed in concern. "Yeah. It was bad, Luce. She's lost her house, is in debt, and still, all she wanted was money to gamble away," I explained, the weight of the call settling around us. Lucy sat down beside me, her presence comforting. "You did the right thing, Beth. We can't drown with her," Lucy said softly, her voice steady and sure. Her words echoed in my mind. "We can't drown with her." It was harsh, but true. I looked at my sister, her maturity and understanding a stark contrast to the chaos our mother brought into our lives. "You're right, Lucy. It's time to really let go and move forward," I affirmed, feeling a resolve strengthen within me. Lucy and I spent that weekend planning a trip together, something to celebrate her graduation and reinforce the new chapter we were both stepping into. As we mapped out our journey, I felt a sense of excitement for the future, a future I was ready to embrace fully. In life, we all make choices. Some lead us into the light, others into shadows. But each step, each decision, teaches us something valuable. For me, it was learning that sometimes, loving someone means letting them face their own battles, and that saving myself was not an act of betrayal, but an act of courage.